Welcome back. We have some stuff to discuss when we get to board number 3. Some relatively earth-shattering changes in terms of who really may very well be the worst team in the league. But we have to get through boards 1 and 2 first. And we have to start off talking about Boston at home against the New York Islanders. I'm surprised I haven't worn Boston before tonight in a review, but here we are. So it's Sorokin versus Ullmark. The shots are 2-0 Boston, 2.5 minutes in. Coyle has a shot that's held. At this point, Boston isn't giving the Islanders much room out there. They're playing their defensive style. Barzal has a fast break. That's defended. Bruins press at 7 minutes. Frederick can't bury one in close. Horvat's denied on a 3-on-2. And then it's a turnover, and it's wired. Frederick gets his third of the season. Van Riemsdyk and Coyle with the assists at 14:05. Holmstrom to Horvat. There's a near miss there with 3:43 left. The Islanders get a power play. Palmieri's denied. It's cleared out, but they do get the power play goal. It's Nelson from Dobson and Barzal at 17:21. So after one period of play, the score's 1-1. Second period, the Islanders had the only shot on net 3 minutes into the period. We then get a power play for Boston, and they score on it. It's Coyle from Zacha at 6:05, and the rest of the period goes very, very quickly, thus very few notes. Shots are 4-2 Boston with 9.5 minutes left. The Islanders press with 5.5 left. Boston gets a turn pressuring with 2.5 minutes left, and the Bruins press to close. But we went over 8 minutes at the end of that second period without a whistle. So, yeah, went fast. Both Boston and the Islanders play the same style. Boston does that now, and it works really well for them. So third period, good early back and forth there. Bruins had the lone shot on net 2 minutes in. Clutterbuck can't bury one. We then get a power play for Boston, and it's a shorthanded goal early, 10 seconds into the power play. Holmstrom from Pajot at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So it's tied. It does not stay that way. Pastrnak, same power play. He scores from Marchand and Shattenkirk at 3:33. So for Pastrnak, that's his 10th on the season. The Islanders press with 6 minutes, at 6 minutes, I should say. But then Coyle gives Boston a 2-goal lead from Van Riemsdyk and Frederick at 9:24. It's a tic-tac-toe play, and he buries it in close. We then get a power play for Boston. That's killed off. And then Coyle ends up hitting the empty net for his first career hat trick. Pastrnak made sure he got it at 18:39. So good on Coyle. He finally gets his first career hat trick. Boston wins 5-2. They go to 11-1-1 with the win. The Islanders 5-4-3 with the loss. The shots on net 15-12 Islanders in the first, 6-5 Boston in the second, 17-9 Boston in the third. Final shots 35-29 Boston. Power plays, the Islanders scored on the only one they had. Boston was 2 for 3. The hit 16-13 Boston. Sorokin saves 30 out of 34. And for Ullmark, 27 saves on 29 shots. So, yeah, entertaining but fast game. All right, next up, the Montreal Canadiens and the Detroit Red Wings. So it's Primo versus Reimer. And Caden Primo is making a good case for the idea that he's ready. Maybe he's ready now to be a backup goalie in the NHL. Maybe the Montreal Canadiens could look at moving Jake Allen or Montembeault, whoever they decide to. I know Allen's the one you would likely put on the market, but at this point in time, maybe it's time to pull the trigger and give Primo regular starts. Anyways, early press by the Habs. There's some pushing after that. The Wings have a 3-on-2 that's defended. We get a power play for Detroit. Boy, that power play has really fallen off, hasn't it, since that fast start? So Sider has a shot that's blocked. They cycle. That's killed off. The Wings press at 6.5 minutes. But at 7 minutes, it's Montreal that gets on the board. It's Matheson from Newhook. So all of a sudden, it's 1-0 Montreal. We then get a power play for the Habs. Slavkovsky fires one high. That power play is killed off. Armia has a rush chance. That's held. Larkin tried to bank one in off of Caden Primo. The Wings get a power play. It becomes a 4-on-4, and everything's killed off there. So after the first period, it is 1-0 for Montreal. Second period, pressed by the Red Wings at 1.5 minutes. We get a power play for the Wings. That's killed off. Wings go back to the power play. That leads to a post for Suzuki on a shorthanded break. This close to 2-0 there. Perron has a shot that's saved. That power play's killed off. Anderson then has a rush that draws a power play for Montreal. Habs score, but there's a challenge for offside. So, yes. And so that power play goal doesn't count. And then the Wings finish the kill after that. Habs press after it's done, but a good forecheck leads to a burial in close by Fisher from Rasmussen at 17-12. It's suddenly one apiece. The review also said good goal. It wasn't challenged. The review just says good goal. 1:30 left. The Habs get a power play. That leads to a shorthanded rush chance for Comfer. But after 2 periods of play, 1-1 draw. Early in the third, during that same power play that straddles the periods, Suzuki scores at 26 seconds from Monahan and Matheson. That one goes in off Andrew Kopp's skate, but they all count. So 2-1 Montreal. The Wings press for response. The shots are only 2 apiece 4 minutes in, and then at 6:06, Comfer scores from Kopp and Wallman. The Wings had pressed at 9.5 minutes. Suzuki has a rush chance that's blocked, but you could feel as this period went along, there were very few shots. It was clear it was going to overtime. In the overtime, actually was a more exciting overtime than the third period. Wings control early. Matheson's denied on a 2-on-1. Suzuki couldn't bury one on a break. DeBrincat gets absolutely robbed on a rush. Get a power play for the Habs. It's Reimer that gets the penalty for holding on the play, so the Habs call a timeout. Suzuki would hit the post, but at 4:16, it is Caulfield with another overtime game-winning goal in his career. This one on the power play. Matheson and Suzuki with the assists on what was a wrister top shelf. So Montreal goes into Detroit and wins 3-2 in overtime. They go to 6-5-2 with the win. Detroit 7-5-2 with the overtime loss, and they keep going in the wrong direction. Shots on net, 10-8 Montreal in the first, 14-6 Detroit in the second, 6-4 Montreal in the third, and then 4-3 Montreal in the overtime. Final shots, 29-26 for the Wings. Power plays, Montreal 2 for 5, Detroit 0 for 4. The hits, 18-17 Montreal. Primo saves 27 out of 29, and Reimer saves 23 out of 26. Entertaining game, though. All right, next up. Minnesota and the Rangers. Well, Minnesota had a good second period. That's the thing you can take away from this. But it's Fleury versus Domingue. Rangers press at 1.5 minutes, and at 3:55 they would open the scoring. It's Trocheck from Lafreniere and Gustafsson. It was a turnover, gets buried, and Lafreniere is starting to put up points. Don't look now. Rangers press at 6 minutes. The shots on net are 5-1 for New York 7 minutes in. Wild press at 9.5 minutes. Fleury almost gets caught out of the net. His own defenseman bail him out there. Things get punchy in a hole by Fleury. We then had a fight between Duhaime and Gaudreau. Things get pushy and there's some sticking at the horn, but at any rate, it's 1-0 for the Rangers after 1. Second period, early press by the Wild. Rangers get some pressure at 2.5 minutes. Foligno then has a net feed. That misses. Much better start for the Wild. It would continue that way throughout the period. Boldy has a shot that's held. The Wild with the first 8 shots of the second period. Get a power play from Minnesota. Zuccarello gets denied. That's killed off. But then it's Duhaime. He scores from Faber and Hartman at 12:32. And the shots are 12-1 for Minnesota with 5 minutes left. So really strong second period. Dewar has a shot that's saved as the Wild press, but it's 1-1 after 2. So the Wild probably felt pretty good about their chances going into the third. And the Rangers decided to douse their hopes quickly. At 1:41, it's Lafreniere from Panarin and Trocheck. The Wild would press to answer. But the shots, 5 minutes in, are 6-1 New York. So the Rangers have the momentum back. Wild press at 7 minutes. They press again with 9.5 minutes left. But the Rangers get their first and only power play of the game, and they score on it. It's Wheeler with his first as a Ranger from Cooley and Lafreniere at 14:39. So Lafreniere with 3 points in this game. That was Wheeler burying a loose puck with, I think there was 2 seconds left in the power play. Goalie pull happens with 3:20 left. Zuccarello gets denied, and then Panarin hits the empty net from Trocheck and Trouba at 18:39. The Rangers win this one 4-1. They go to 10-2-1 on the season. Minnesota drops back below NHL 500 to 5-6-2. Shots on net 14-2 Rangers in the first, 15-3 Minnesota in the second, 11-9 for New York in the third. Final shots 28-26 for the Rangers. Power plays, Minnesota 0-1, the Rangers 1-1. Hits 22-18 for the Rangers. Fleury saves 24 out of 27. Domingue saves 25 out of 26. Like I said this morning, Domingue can work as a number 3 goaltender. He can go in there and play pretty well for a few games if he has to. All right, next up, Vancouver and the Sens. It's getting weird, isn't it, Canuck fans? It's getting weird because I don't feel that sense of dread. I've said it over and over. I'm saying it again here. I don't feel that sense of dread when they have a lead. I don't feel that sense of dread when they allow a goal. So it's DeSmith versus Forsberg. Besser appeared to be denied 15 seconds in. Pettersson has a shot that's held, and so they go back and review. And they're like, hey, we need to see if that puck was held out. Nope, crossed the line. So Brock Besser with his 11th goal. You're welcome, Brock. I mentioned you in the preview this morning. Besser from Di Giuseppe and Hronik at 15 seconds. I know what I'm doing. So, yeah, Hronik with another helper. continues his streak. I think this is 8 games now with a point. He's nearing a record for Canucks defensemen. And then the Canucks press for more. And then on their second shot, Mikheyev, he has one that goes in from Pettersson and Kuzmenko at 3 minutes. So suddenly, it's 2-0 for Vancouver, and they've only had 2 shots to get it done. We then get a power play for the Sens. That's killed off. The shots at that point, 6-3 Ottawa. Sens go back to the power play. That's also a no. But then on a turnover, Batherson scores on a rush at 18-15. So very important goal for Ottawa. Makes it 2-1 there. 58.8 seconds left. The Canucks get a power play. So that rolls over into the second period. Canucks was the cycle. The Sens do kill it off. Höglander couldn't bury one. The Canucks then press at 2.5 minutes. Soucy has a shot deflect wide. Zone time for the Canucks at this point, but no shots. The shot totals were kept low all night for Vancouver. Ottawa defensively, honestly, did a pretty good job. So Hughes gets denied. There's more pressure, but then at 10:58, Zub scores from Kelly. That ties the game at 2. Shots are 4 apiece with 8.5 minutes left in this, so that shows you how well each team's playing defensively. Power play for the Canucks, that's killed off. The Canucks press with 2 minutes left, and they get it. At 18:08, Miller, bar down. DiGiuseppe and Cole. All of a sudden, Vancouver's back in the lead 3-2 after 2. Third period. Early press by Ottawa. Joseph has a net drive, that's held. Pettersson then has a net feed this block. The shots on net are 3-0 Ottawa at 4.5 minutes. No Canuck shots 7 minutes into this period, so Ottawa's doing a really good job of keeping the Canucks from the net. So then the Sens press at 9 minutes, and at 9:23, Mikheyev gets one that goes in off his skate. Pettersson with the assist on this one. So Pettersson, your leading scorer in the NHL. Anyways, the Canucks press for another. We then get a power play for Vancouver, and they score on that as well. It's Pettersson with the goal. It takes 2 seconds, apparently, from the time of the power play. Hughes and Miller with the assists. So all of the big names for Vancouver amongst the leading scorers in the NHL. Vancouver wins 5-2. They go to 10-2-1, whereas the Sens drop to 5-7. This has to be a rough result for them after a pretty emotional win over Toronto. At any rate, shots on net favored Ottawa most of the way. 11-3 in the first. Both teams had 7 shots in the second. Ottawa outshoots Vancouver 12-6 in the third. Final shots 30-16 for Ottawa. Power plays, Vancouver goes 1 for 3. Ottawa 0 for 2. The hits 23-19 Ottawa. DeSmith saved 28 out of 30. Very good run for DeSmith right now. And Forsberg saved 11 out of 16. So kind of an ugly number there from Forsberg. And so we'll see, now for Vancouver, they've got Toronto, they got Montreal. All of a sudden, those East Coast swings don't look as scary as they used to. All right, next up, Chicago and Tampa. Here's one of those surprises of the night, and yet this is not the biggest surprise of the night. Mrazek versus Johansson, early jump for Tampa. Point has a one-timer that's saved, and Tampa ends up drawing a power play, and they score on it. It's Cirelli from Hagel and Sergachev at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So Cirelli with the second goal of the season. The Hawks look to answer, and they get it at 4:41. Bedard tips one in from the side of the net. Kurashev with the assist. So Bedard on the board. It's a 1-1 tie. Bolts press for response. Point nearly scores. There's more pressure after that. Perry's denied from the side of the net. And then at 12:31, Tampa Bay does go back into the lead. It's Kucherov from Jeannot and Hedman. So suddenly it's 2-1 in favor of Tampa. Crisis avoided, right? Nope. At 16:43, Korchinski gets his first NHL goal. He knew right away. So did his mom in the crowd. It's the mom's trip. And Donato and Entwistle with the assists. And then 17:37, not even a minute later, Tyler Johnson with a goal from Bedard and Foligno. So at 17:37, suddenly Chicago has a 3-2 lead over Tampa Bay in Tampa. Great pass on a turnover rush. So Bedard showing he has the passing ability as well. Then there's a crossbar for Paul, and then Bedard. He scores at 19:52. It's another turnover. It's in the back of the net. And after a period of play, it's 4-2 in favor of Chicago. Third period, we get a power play for the Hawks. It's a 4-minute power play. And during that first 2 minutes at 2:12, Perry scores from Bedard and Foligno. So for Bedard, that's 4 points. 2 goals, 2 assists for Bedard. So, yeah, Bedard's got it going. It's bad news for the rest of the NHL. At any rate, second power play starts. Short-handed rush by Chernak is saved. That's killed off. The Bolts then get a power play. That was killed off as well. Perry has a 2-on-1 chance. That's blocked. Bedard has a one-timer. That's held. And teams are finding out, like the announcers you can hear are seeing just how insane Bedard's shot is. Now it does just kind of come out of nowhere. So there's a power play for Chicago. That's killed off, and the Bolts press to close out the period. All right, had to let Bear out. Third period, early power play for the Bolts. That's killed off. Tampa Bay presses 6 minutes in. Bedard gets absolutely flattened on a rush. He didn't see that hit coming. Power play for the Hawks. That's killed off. The Bolts go back to the power play, and that's killed off as well. You're correct. Hull hurts his leg, and it looked not good. So he was helped off the ice. He's just it's almost as if he's injury prone this season, and hopefully it's not as bad as that looked. At any rate, the goalie pull happens with 4 minutes and 50 seconds left because you got to do something. And at 17:50, Stamkos puts one in from the side of the net. Cirelli in point with the assist. So that makes it a 2-goal game, gives a little bit of hope to Tampa Bay. Stamkos fires one wide. The Bolts press, and with 43.1 seconds left, the Hawks get a power play. So that finishes out the game. Chicago holds on. They win 5-3. They go to 5-7 on the season. Tampa Bay 6-4-4. So yes, they're above 500. Yes, they're in a playoff spot right now. But Tampa Bay has won 6 out of 14 games. So it's just the 3-point system in the NHL doing what the 3-point system does. Shots on net, 14-10 Tampa Bay in the first, 10-9 Tampa Bay in the second. Chicago actually outshot them 10-9 in the third. Final shots, 33-29 for Tampa. Power plays, Chicago 1 for 5, Tampa Bay 1 for 4. The hits, 22-11 for Tampa. Mrazek saves 30 out of 33. Johansson, 24 saves on 29 shots. And now I need to change boards. All right, so looking at these results, these are less surprising than the results on the first board, or especially the third. But we're going to get into Dallas and Columbus. It's Oettinger versus Martin. And early on, Columbus had the fire. They had what they needed. Jenner scores from Gaudreau and Roslovic at 1:08. He buries that one on a rush. 4.5 minutes in, the shots are 2-1 Columbus. One complaint about Dallas is they don't start on time. They do not have enough goals in first periods. They came into tonight with 5 goals in the first period in total, and that's the lowest total in the NHL. So Olivier gets denied and close. Fantilli was robbed on a 2-on-1. There's a press by Columbus at 7 minutes, and then there's a 2-on rush, and Marchenko buries it. He scores from Fantilli and Voronkov at 8:43. So that's a trio right there that if you're a Columbus fan, you got to be excited with. But that 2-goal lead lasts less than a minute. Good press by Dallas, and a one-timer finishes that playoff. It's marchment from Duchesne and Sagan at 9:29. Stars press to tie it. There's a power play for Dallas. That's killed off. The Stars press after it ends. Then we get the second power play for the Stars of that first period. That's killed off as well, and Dallas doesn't get any more power plays. That's it. Just the 2. So second period, shots are 3-2 Columbus at 2.5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Roslovic has a rush chance. That's saved. Columbus presses at 6 minutes. Haskinen's denied through a screen. Suter's denied as the Stars press. Texier fires one high from the slot. Roslovic is then denied from the slot, so Oettinger had a good game. And then Craig Smith at 10:20, he buries a rebound on a 2-on-1 rush. Foxa with his first point of the season on the primary assist there, and Lindell with the other assist. So suddenly it's 2-2. At 16:34, Duchesne puts Dallas in the lead from Lundqvist. So after 2 periods of play, it's 3-2. Early in the third, Sillinger hits a post. There's a press for the Stars at 3 minutes, and eventually they score. Sagan from Lundqvist and Duchesne at 3:47. That makes it 4-2 Dallas. And then, it's weird because from that point on, it just felt like, I can't say Columbus gave up, but you could just feel that the air come out of the building a bit, and the announcers just kind of talking like it was just, that's it. And I kept thinking, well, it's only a 2-goal game, and Dallas has been known to give up goals, so I wouldn't say it's necessarily over because they were praising Dallas. I'm not saying Dallas wasn't playing well, but it was odd. So the Stars, good forecheck by them. It leads to a press. Robertson has a net drive, that saved. The Stars press halfway through the period. No room for Columbus. Stars doing a good job of locking it down. I don't know how much Columbus was. Again, it just felt like there was sort of a give up there. You guys can let me know if I'm seeing things that weren't there. Johnston hits the side of the net. The goalie pull happens with 4+ minutes left. Marchenko has a shot that's saved, and Robertson hits the empty net at 17:04. Pavelski with the assist on that. So they're hoping that that'll get Jason Robertson going. That's only his 3rd goal of the season. So Dallas wins this one 5-2. They needed this. They're 8-3-1 now on the season. They were coming off of losses against Vancouver and Boston. On the Columbus front, they're 4-6-3. So Columbus, the losses just keep piling up. And again, to me tonight, it looked like they kind of gave up. But again, let me know your thoughts. The shots don't bear that out either. So the shots on net, 13-7 Dallas in the first, 11-7 Columbus in the second. Both teams had 11 shots in the third. Final shots, 31-29 Dallas. Power plays, the Stars 0 for 2, Columbus 0 for 1. The hits, 14-3 for Columbus. So Dallas basically just decided, we're not hitting, we're going to do a Buffalo. Although a Buffalo has been hitting this year, but last year not so much. Ottinger, 27 saves on 29 shots, and Martin saves 26 out of 30 at the other end. So, yeah, overall, interesting night in Columbus. All right, next up, Arizona and St. Louis. So it's Vejmelka versus Hofer in this one. Hofer's done a pretty good job as a backup this year. Early press by the Blues, and they'd score at 2:16 at Sundqvist from Blaine and Vrana. 4.5 minutes in, the shots are 7-2 for St. Louis. So did Arizona start on time? No. Things get pushy on an offside call. Kyrou has a rush that sets up a press. Carconi has a chance that's saved and cleared. The Blues get a power play, becomes a 5-on-3. Turney was very animated, not happy with the 5-on-3. I was honestly kind of surprised he didn't get a penalty on top of it. So the first penalty gets killed. It's still 5-on-4, though, for the Blues. It's all killed off. The Blues only had 2 shots despite all the power plays that were in there. The Coyotes then get a power play and they score on theirs. So it's Krause who's heated up from Keller and Schmaltz at 15:44. It's a cross-ice pass and buried. 2:03 left. The Blues then get a power play. That's killed off. It's 1-1 after 1. Second period, McBain got hurt in a collision. That looked like it was painful. There were some collisions tonight. Vrana's denied and close. The shots are 4-3 for the Coyotes at 6 minutes when Thomas at 6 minutes gets his goal streak. So I'm writing this on the board. Thomas scores. 5-game goal scoring streak for Thomas. He's had a very good run recently. Buchnevich and Krug with the assists. That's a 2-1 goal there. We then get a power play for the Blues. That's killed off. Saad has a shot that's tip shot that's held after. We get another power play for the Blues. That's killed off. Falk then has a shot that nearly deflects in, and then the Blues get their third power play of the second period. A lot of power plays for the Blues tonight. That was killed off as well. The Coyotes then have a 2-on-1. That's defended. And after 2 periods of play, it's 2-1 St. Louis. But considering all the power plays the Blues had, Coyotes had to feel kind of happy they were only down 1 going to the third. In the third, early power play for the Coyotes. St. Louis kills that off, does not allow a shot. So, really impressive penalty kill there by St. Louis. Good back and forth after. O'Brien has a shot that's held. The shots are only 1 apiece, 4.5 minutes in. Blues press at 5.5 minutes. Schmaltz has a slot shot, that's saved. Falk with a screen shot, that gets held at the other end. Kyrou's denied and close as the Blues press. Dursey fires one wide as the Coyotes press. We get a crossbar and out for Thomas. So Thomas was that close to getting another goal in this one. Blues press with 4.5 minutes left. The goalie gets pulled by the Coyotes with 2 minutes left. But the Blues, they hang on. They win this one 2-1. They go to 6-5-1 with the win. Arizona drops to 6-6-1 with the loss. Shots on net, 15-3 St. Louis in the first, 12-7 St. Louis in the second. Arizona does outshoot them 10-6 in the third. The final shot's 33-20 for the Blues. Power plays, Arizona 1 for 2. St. Louis 0 for 7. 7 power plays. Hits 16-14 for St. Louis. Vejmelka saved 31 out of 33. He was very good. So was Hofer. 19 saves on 20 shots. So a nice goalie battle in St. Louis tonight. All right, next up. Winnipeg and Nashville. And my wife was busy tonight, and she said to me, this game against Nashville is going to be fun. And when this one finished, she texted me. Knew it was going to be fun. Anyways, Saros versus Brossoit in this one. Early jump for Winnipeg. Carrier then had a blast that was held. Evangelista to Novak. There's a near miss there. And then Winnipeg gets the goal. It's Appleton from Lowry and Niederreiter at 4:04. He buries that one in close. And again, the depth scoring for Winnipeg has been on point. Shots are 3-2 for the Jets at 6 minutes, but at 6:43, Forsberg scores from Nyquist. Novak then has a rush chance that's held, so Nashville maybe seeing a bit of an opening, hoping they can exploit that. Pressed by Nashville with 7 minutes left. Lowry has the second fight of the first period, this one with Cole Smith. So Lowry racking up the penalty minutes early in this. Jets come out of that with a power play. Connors denied they cycled. That power play's killed off 4 shots for Winnipeg on that power play. So it's 1-1 after 1. Second period, it's 1 minute and 5 seconds in. It's a good cycle by the Jets. I was just going to put up there early press by the Jets, and they scored. Connor scores from Scheifele and Iafallo. Preds look to answer, but at 3:48, Connor gets another one. He scores from Scheifele and DeMello. So don't look now. Kyle Connor's really heating up. Great deke, backhand on a rush, no chance for Saros on that one. Ehlers is then denied. It's really all Jets at this point. The Jets press at 8.5 minutes. They draw a power play. Becomes a 5-on-3. During the 5-on-3, Winnipeg scores. It's Perfetti bearing a rebound. Scheifele and Connor with the assists at 10:33. And then too many Jets on the ice. The first of two too many men on the ice penalties against the Jets. Becomes a 4-on-4. During the 4-on-4, Forsberg scores from Barrie at 12:05. And that's not a great goal for Brossoit. Brossoit overall didn't have a bad night, but that's one you want to see a save on. Everything gets killed off after that. Connor has a rush chance that saved, and then Sherwood has a net drive that leads to some punching, because that's kind of key for Sherwood's game. Knock the opposing team off their composure a little bit. So it's 4-2 after 2. Third period, Forsberg blasts one wide. The Jets with early turnovers, a little bit of sloppy play early there by the Jets. But there's no shots on that 2.5 minutes in, so they're able to recover from those turnovers. Scheifele's denied and close. There's a near miss for Forsberg on a 3-on-2. We get a power play for Nashville. That's killed off, and then they get another. It then becomes 1 minute and 3 seconds of 4-on-4. Connor with a net drive that's blocked, and everything's killed off there. The Jets score. Goalie interference, waves it off. They reviewed it. I don't know why they took that back. Like, does he connect with the glove? Yeah, but the glove's outside of the crease, and he was pushed in by the defending player. So the contact's outside the crease and the defending player causes it, the goal counts. So Dillon gets that one from DeMello and Barron at 12:51. And yeah, during that whole replay, I'm like, yeah, that counts. You can't take that back. That's insane. Anyways, power play for the Predators becomes a 6-on-4 because they're down by a few here. Things get pushed down a hole by Brossoit. They do kill that off 4 shots. But then on a face-off win, Tomasino gets his first of the season. He tips it in from Barrie and Del Gaizo. There's Del Gaizo again at 16-16. So Del Gaizo, what? He's got 3 games played and 3 assists. It's insane. Go look at his hockey DB record. He's not an offensive defenseman. Just he's playing like it in Nashville. Good on him. So then they pull the goalie again, and at 16:44, Connor hits the empty net for the hat trick goal, and Winnipeg wins this one 6-3. They go to 7-4-2. I do hope that their recent play will convince some more people in Winnipeg to go out and check them out, fill up that building again. Nashville drops to 5-8 on the season. So for Nashville, it's a rough ending to this road trip. Now they go home and try to get things straightened out. Shots on net, 14-7 Winnipeg in the first, 14-8 Winnipeg in the second, 9-8 Winnipeg in the third. Final shots, 37-23 for the Jets. Power plays, Nashville 0-for-5, Winnipeg 1-for-4. The hits, 19-14 Winnipeg. Saros saves 31 out of 36. Brossoit, 20 saves on 23 shots. All right, but that was a fun one. Next up, Seattle and Colorado. This was an intense game too. You can tell these teams know each other. So it's Grubauer versus Prosvetov. And I thought Prosvetov did okay. His numbers at the end of the night are not great, but again, early jump for the Abs. McKinnon's denied by Dunn. Dunn actually prevents a goal there. Shots are 3-1 for the Abs at 4 minutes. Shore's denied on a fast break. Cartier has a rush chance. That's held. Kraken are building momentum. Eventually it works. At 18:39, Jaden Schwartz scores from Cartier and Dunn. Gord's then denied a last-minute goal. So Seattle almost came out of this period with a 2-goal lead, but they do come out of the first period with a 1-goal lead. 1-0. Second period, early press by Seattle. Lehkonen has a shot that's blocked and cleared. The Kraken press at 2 minutes. Olofsson's denied on a net drive, and then at 4:29, it is Bjorkstrand from Alexiak. A great pass by Alexiak, and he wires that one far corner. That lead does not last. 27 seconds later at 4:56, it's 2-on-1 rush, and Byram with a one-timer to make it a 1-goal game. McKinnon and Lehkonen with the assists. The Kraken press at 6.5 minutes. That draws them a power play. Tolvanen fires one wide. It's cleared out. It's killed off. Shots are 7-3 at the half for Seattle. Seattle gets a power play, and it's bar down far corner. So when Matty Beniers finally gets his first goal of the season, it's a pretty one. Vince Dunn with the assist there at 11:35. And then there's a collision between Alexiak and Lehkonen. Lehkonen ends up crashing into the boards. Pretty scary hit on Lehkonen. He did skate off. It's on the board here, but he did end up being taken as a precaution to the hospital to get looked at. So I don't know the status for Lehkonen right now, But if a player gets taken to the hospital, odds are he's not playing in the next game. So hopefully for Lehkonen, he's not out that long. I didn't see anything predatory in the play by Alexiak either. It's just one of those, like I said, there were collisions tonight. And that is part and parcel of a game where the players are as large as they are, and Alexiak's a bigger player, and just the speed, and they just collide. It just happens. So hopefully Lehkonen's okay. So we get a power play for the Avs. There's an early clear. That power play's killed off. And then you can't leave McKinnon all alone in front of the net. That's what Seattle does. And so McKinnon makes him pay because that's what he does. He scores from Makar at 15:40. So that makes the game close, 3-2. 2:19 left. The Avs get a power play. That's killed off. 2 shots on net. Nichushkin then with a buzzer beater. That's caught and held. So I don't know if that would have necessarily counted, but probably would have, and Grubauer prevents it. So it's 3-2 in favor of Seattle after 2. Third period. Early press by the Avs. Tufte has a rush chance. That's kicked aside. Schultz exits shaken up. So again, more guys getting hurt here. Power play for Seattle. It's killed off. No shots. Schwartz with a near miss and close. The Avs press at 7 minutes. The Kraken doing a good job blocking out there. Winterton, in his NHL debut, gets denied as the Kraken press. He was looking for his first goal. I believe he had family and friends in attendance. Heavy press by Seattle at the half, who are just making it clear they don't want to leave Denver without those 2 points. And this is where they said, Lehkonen that he was awake, he was responsive, and they sent him to the hospital for precautionary reasons. Nichushkin ends up scoring to tie the game from Taves and McKinnon at 12:15. It was a good pass. It's through a screen, or good press, it's through a screen, and it's tipped in front. So there's no chance for Grubauer there. I don't think he knew where the puck was until it was in the net. Then we have a fight of sorts between Dunn and Byram. I'm not sure how it didn't qualify as a fight. I'm going to agree with Byram on this. Byram gets 4 minutes. Dunn gets 2. 4 for roughing on one, 2 for roughing on the other. I don't know why it wasn't 5 for fighting on Dunn, because he got a lot. This is what I've always been curious about. How many punches before it's a fight? Because I think I counted like 4 or 5 Dunn landed. How's that not a fight? Anyways, so that means it's a power play for Seattle. So Schwartz gets robbed, then becomes 22 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off there. Tolvanen has a net feed that's picked off, and then at 19:27, in that final minute, Bjorkstrand scores from Tolvanen and Larson, and Seattle, they hold on, they win this one in Colorado 4-3. So they go to 5-6-3 with the win. For Colorado 8-4, they've now lost 4 out of 5. We're getting close to video territory talking about the Avs, because things have definitely gone off the rails here. So shots on net, 10-8 Colorado in the first, 9 apiece in the second, 7-5 Colorado in the third. Final shots 26-22 for Colorado. Power plays, Seattle 1 for 4, Colorado 0 for 3. The hits 21-19 for Seattle. Grubauer 23 saves on 26 shots. Prosvetov 18 saves on 22 shots at the other end. And now I need to change boards. And now we get into the surprises. So Pittsburgh and LA. It was Hellberg versus Copley. Yeah, I think it's the magnet. That's the reason why there was an upset in this one. I haven't used that Kings magnet all season. There it is. Yeah, there you go. So anyways, Kopitar's a rush chance that's defended. The shots are 2-0 Kings at 2.5 minutes. I do believe they had the first 4 shots of the game. At any rate, Ruedel has a turnover chance that's held. We then get a press by the Penguins at 7 minutes. And Crosby at 7-11. So the puck goes to LA. It doesn't stay there. Crosby gets it back and he buries a wraparound. So Crosby on the board. I think he's on a 7-game point scoring streak. Good on him. Kings press for response. Kopitar has a wraparound chance that's saved. So he's trying to answer Crosby with a wraparound of his own. Things get pushy and punchy on a Hellberg hold. Penguins come out of that with a power play. Smith to Gensel, near miss there. That power play's killed off. And then, just as the power play ends, it's not a shorthanded goal, but at 14-14, Grundstrom scores from Kopitar and Roy. It's a one-timer, and so it's a 1-1 tie. Kings press with 4 minutes left, but after the first period, it's 1-1 between these two. Second period, early jump for the Kings. Penguins press at 2 minutes. Laferriere has a rush chance that's saved. Kempe has a chance that's held. The Kings with some momentum. We then have a power play for the Kings. It's killed off 1 shot. So that kind of hurts their momentum a little bit. There's a post for Letang. The Kings rush the other way, and eventually on a rush, they get themselves into the lead here. At 9:58, it's Kempe from Anderson and Byfield. So there's Byfield again on the score sheet. He gets his point scoring streak is up to, 5-6 games, something like that. They're all assists, but they count. There's a post for Achari, that close to that first goal. Kings rush again, and the Kings in transition was an issue through a lot of this game. Pittsburgh eventually nullifies it at least a little bit, but yeah, they're dangerous in transition. Gensel with a near miss as the Penguins press. The Kings are limiting the Penguins' chances at this point. Carlson breaks up a 2-on-1, so don't tell me Erik Karlsson doesn't play defense. 2:39 left. The Kings get a power play, and at 18:01, there's a turnover, and Lars Eller with a shorthanded goal. So that makes it a 2-2 tie. He buries that one from the slot, and then, most importantly, the Penguins finish the kill. So after 2 periods of play, it's 2-2. Third period. There's a good forecheck by Byfield, but the Penguins do clear it, and they do score on a rush at 37 seconds. Gensel from Crosby and Carlson. So that one's buried on a rush. All of a sudden, Pittsburgh's got the lead back. The first lead they've had since the 1-0 lead in the first. Power play then for the Kings. Kempe has a shot that's blocked. It's cleared out. It's killed off. And then on the third attempt on the same rush, so one player, another player, and another player, Fiala ends up burying it. Dubois and Spence with the assists at 6:40, and all of a sudden it's a tie game. We get a power play for the Pens. That's killed off, and I know exactly where this is going. Kopitar's denied in the final minute. I know it's going to overtime because it's a 7:30 start. So you have to get an overtime game out of a 7:30 start. We almost had 2 overtime games at a 7:30 start. So in the overtime, decent back and forth and some board play. Why not? It's 3-on-3. It doesn't mean you can't have a little bit of a, along the boards and freezing the puck and all that. Why not? Kopitar fires one wide on a turnover chance. The Penguins score, but it's offside. So it's automatically reviewed. It's offside. So Brian Rust just goes fine. He scored the first time, and he scores the second. It's kind of a wraparound goal at 3:45, and the Penguins come out of LA with the first sweep, I believe, of California since, did it say 66, 67? It's been a while. Pittsburgh 6-6 now on the season with the win. For the Kings, 8-2-3 with the overtime loss. Shots on net favored LA the whole game. 11-7 in the first, 14-5 in the second, 10-7 in the third, and 2-1 in the overtime. Final shots 37-20 for the LA Kings. Power plays, Pittsburgh 0-2, LA 0-3. The hits 25-19 Pittsburgh. Hellberg saved 34-37, and again shows there's a lot of depth in the National Hockey League when it comes to goaltending. Copley saved 16 out of 20 at the other end. And so, yeah, the conversation about the Kings goaltending probably gets going again, but I don't think they have anything to worry about. Talbot's clearly the starter. So at any rate, last game of the night, there may be some people who are interested to see my opinion on the Oilers and the Sharks. So here's my dilemma. The San Jose Sharks have been stapled to 32nd in the power rankings. They're the worst team in the league. I did a video less than a week ago. Worst team I've ever seen. I'm going to say this too. I still think, man for man, if you look at this lineup, San Jose might have the most talent challenge team I've seen. And I'm including first-year teams. But since that dressing down from the GM, they've played a lot better. This is how San Jose has to play. They have to rely on their goaltender to steal victories. And they also have to try to limit chances against by the opposing team. So it's Skinner versus Blackwood, early press by the Oilers. And don't worry, all I've heard for the last few days is, well, the Oilers are recommitting to Skinner. So Skinner's the starter. And all I can think is, but aren't Skinner's numbers worse than Campbell? And then they showed, Campbell's having a rough night here in Abbotsford, too. So, yeah, it's not a great time now for the Oilers. Anyways, power play for Edmonton. The Sharks don't let him set up. There's a shorthanded break by Eklund. He's denied, that's held, and power play's killed off. The Oilers' power play is officially a concern at this point. It is. Everything with the Oilers' play is a concern. Pressed by the Sharks at 6.5 minutes. The shots are 3 apiece at 8 minutes. It's a pretty evenly played game. And that was where I started thinking, uh-oh. Because the Oilers, this is a game you desperately need. You should be going out there and just swarming. You should just have 15 shots in that first 8 minutes. They had 3. So the fans call when the referee doesn't. The Oilers go back to the power play. Hyman has a shot that's saved. It's cycled. Cutting clears it out. Nurse has a shot that's blocked. The power play's killed off. 2 shots for Edmonton on that power play. Zetterlund has a rush chance. That's held. There's some pushing. The Oilers building some momentum late. But at 18:35, perfect pass by Hertl. And Zetterlund, he buries it. So Zetterlund from Hertl and Eklund, it's 1-0 Sharks. What's happening here? So the Oilers press to respond, but it's 1-0 San Jose after 1. Second period, at 1:56, it's a 2-on-1 rush, and it's buried. It's Nurse from Draisaitl and Foegele. And again, watching this, I thought, okay, so now the Oilers, they've realized who they're against and that they have to win this game. There's no way around this. They can't be 32nd on the power rankings because San Jose wins 2 games in a row and the Oilers have only won 2 games all year. That means the Oilers are 32nd on the power rankings. That doesn't feel right. But yeah, so the Sharks look to answer. Holloway has a net drive that saved. The shots are 3-2 for the Oilers at 7 minutes. Like I said, you're not getting enough shots. You're just not getting enough shots at this point in the game. And then Hertl, 9:05, he gives the Sharks a 2-goal lead. 2 games in a row, they've had a 2-goal lead. Break up the Sharks. Zetterlund and Ochotchik with the assists there. It was a Sharks bounce right over to Hertl, and he has the one-timer into the net. It's 2-1 for San Jose. Yeah, it's not a 2-goal lead, it's a 1-goal lead. They'll have a 2-goal lead later. It's just a spoiler for all you fine people on the internet. Oilers press for response. There's more Oilers pressure with 6.5 minutes left. There's a near miss for Nurse. The Oilers cycle yet again. Draisaitl, Hyman, they get robbed. Yeah, they called him Paul Heyman. It's gotten that bad. But yeah, Hyman's robbed. It's cleared out. And then Blackwood holds at the horn. So there's chances for Edmonton. But it's 2-1 San Jose after 2 periods. Third period, early press by the Oilers. Hertl fires one high. The Oilers clear. And then Nurse with a turnover. And Zadina ends up being the one that buries it. Sturm and Carpenter with the assists at 1:53. So some players that have been looking for points, getting points tonight. And suddenly it's 3-1 San Jose. No idea what's going on. So fans call one, the referee doesn't because, San Jose wasn't really getting power plays through most of this. Shots are 2 apiece at 5.5 minutes. The Sharks get a power play there. Foegele has a shot that's held. There's a 4-on-4 for 29 seconds. And again, once the Oilers get that power play, I kept thinking, okay, so their power play has to click here. I still think there's something going on with McDavid. I really don't think he's 100%, and I think it's hurting the team at this stage. At any rate, so everything gets killed off. We then have a power play for the Sharks after. There was a shorthanded McDavid shot. That's blocked. Power play's killed off. Duclair's then denied in close. The Sharks press with 4 minutes left. The Sharks press with 4 minutes left. The Oilers desperately needing to win this game. The Sharks are pressuring them with 4 minutes left. Goalie pull happens with 2:50 left. And then at 17:34, Nugent-Hopkins scores from Ekholm and Bouchard. He buries a rebound. And then with 2:12 left, the Oilers get a power play. Again, in previous seasons, there's no way the Oilers don't get a goal here. There's just no chance. They didn't pull the goalie right away. It's not until there's 1:20 left that they go 6-on-4, and that's because Jay Woodcroft trusts the power play. It doesn't feel like you need to pull the goalie to get the 6-on-4, but eventually he does. With 1:16 left, the Oilers call a timeout. They had chances, could not get a goal. Your final score is 3-2 for the Sharks. Your 32nd ranked team on the power rankings board currently is the Edmonton Oilers at 2-9-1. San Jose with back-to-back wins are now 2-10-1. So I don't know what's happening. Shots on net favor the Oilers the whole way through because of course they do. 14-6 in the first, 10-8 in the second, 17-4 in the third. They outshoot San Jose 41-18. And in any game where they have 35 or more shots, I think they're now 0-5-1 when they have 35 or more shots. That's like a Nashville kind of number. This is insane. Power plays 0-4 for Edmonton, 0-4 for San Jose. Hits were 15 apiece. Skinner saves 15 out of 18. I don't know. I don't know if you can put this on the goaltending, but Blackwood was fantastic. 39 saves on 41 shots. At any rate, yeah, the Oilers lose another one. They're now 7 games below 500. So think about it. From here, let's just say it takes 102 points to make the playoffs in the West. 98 points to make the playoffs in the West. They would have to go 23 games above 500 from here to make the playoffs, to get to 98 points. So, yeah, the Oilers playoff hopes, it's only 12 games in, but we're already looking at a team that may very well find itself on the outside looking into the playoffs, and they have to go on a run, but I don't know how you go on a run when you've just lost to San Jose. The one thing that I will say is maybe this is humiliating enough of a loss that they start to turn it around from here. Maybe in their next game, that killer instinct comes in and they're just going to get that third, that fourth opportunity and bury it. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.